Okay, for anyone that is hard of hearing, this movie is excellent for you. Because, just pause for a second.
What?
Turn up your headphones, the computer all the way.
Alex, what are you saying?
And this is what it sounds like.
Ah! Oh, ow. Gosh.
Is the movie for about 40 minutes. Yes.
I still can't hear you because I just saw Man
As
of
Molly
Steel.
can see, there's a solid blue line, or rectangle, going through the recording right now. This movie's just really loud. And the movie we're talking about is Man of Steel. And I want
Just
to
to let you know, there are people upstairs, so if you plan on doing that again...
I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to do that again. It was just once. So people know that this movie is loud. It's very, very loud. And now let's just start off with this, because I know we're going to have some disagreements, and it needs to stem from our rating. So let's just go around the room. First, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Alex.
I'm Molly.
Oh, this is Andrew.
And
run away really fast.
And we do have a guest here. Jordan, say hi.
Hi.
And he said he didn't want to be part of the review, but he's going to be our captive audience, really.
Silent observer.
You can't leave. I locked the door from the outside.
You don't want to go outside, though.
No, you don't want to be outside.
So let's just go around and give our ratings. I'm going to start because I know mine's probably going to be more positive. Mine right now is wait to rent it. Molly, what's yours?
For the general public, I'd say wait.
No, not general. What is your overall rating? We don't need to change our demographics here.
Fine. I say don't see it.
And Andrew?
I already said run away as fast as you can.
That's not a rating.
Forget about it.
Okay, so...
And then forget about it.
So there's a descending slope of ratings here. Andrew, why do you hate this movie?
A lot of it is derived from my bias. I really strongly dislike the character of Superman.
So you came into this movie biased.
That's true, I did. And I also hate Zach Snyder. Can't stand him. So as soon as they announced that he was the director, I wrote this movie off as a piece of hopeless dreck that I never wanted to see. But thanks, Alex, for taking me to see it, buddy.
You're welcome. You didn't pay for it. Molly, initial thoughts here? Why did you give it this rating?
Completely average blockbuster to me. I thought it was overly lengthy. If you're stimulated by action and...
Stimulated. Chest hair. If you're stimulated by chest hair.
And lots of it.
If you're stimulated by action,
And chiseled jaws.
Sure. And what's his name's little neck mole?
Henry Cavill?
No, Zod. Zod's
It's
character.
Cavill?
Henry Cavill.
Cavill? Whatever.
Cavill.
He's English, right?
I have no idea.
Yeah, nothing about Superman is even remotely American. So when people call him, like, an American icon, how? Metropolis? Not a real place. Okay,
okay, now you're going to argue...
The actor, English.
But Andrew...
Superman's Kryptonian.
Andrew, what you're bringing up right now is the argument of the character in general, not the movie
Yeah, well,
itself.
he's the subject of this movie. So it's fair grounds for criticism.
I mean, sure, but, okay, he grew up in the United States for 33 years. They said that.
Is Smallville a place in Kansas? I'm sure it's
It's
kind of...
Kansas.
You're right,
It's
it's kind of like
town.
it's like an abstraction.
Okay, moving on. Alex, why did you give this movie the rating you did?
The beginning, I thought, was a great setup for an origin.
For a nap.
Okay, that's your opinion. But for me, it was a great setup for the origin of how Superman's supposed to have his morals. It was shaped by essentially his stepfather, Kent.
Kevin Costner's.
Kevin Costner. What's his real name?
Hey.
John Kent.
Yeah.
I will say the action was great. The reason why I gave it a wait to rent it is because it might have been the theater we were in. It might be in theaters in general. It's really, really, really loud. And so, to me, there were times where I'm surprised I was able to hear.
Because it's Hans Zimmer.
It was uncomfortably loud.
He just wants to blow your eardrums out.
I will also bring up this, and this is something I've seen in general this summer, is a few people will be saved while other thousands die.
Half of Metropolis was leveled.
Yes.
And Superman pretends to care about, what, like 4 people at the end?
And also, I was annoyed that Lois Lane was constantly just, like, in the part, like, yeah, hey, you come along, because, like, we force... Anyways,
Her into the drama?
Yeah.
What?
It bothered me.
She was a
little
bystander, yeah, but she always is. She's a reporter.
I mean, I that can be part of Superman's story in general. I did kind of like this. There is a giant Christ allegory in this whole movie.
Yeah.
And I know that there's some people in the room that aren't very fond of the man. But
Of Superman? No, I'm fine with a good Christ allegory. Once
And
in a
I thought
while.
it was great.
It's a cliche by this point. So many movies
Yeah,
with Christ allegories.
But I thought this one was done well. There was a few times where I thought they were trying to make sure that a lot of people understood it. Was, you know...
Oh,
it was a bit heavy-handed.
There was a part where he walked into the church. But there was a few... I mean... But there's parts where it's like, okay, he didn't, find his purpose till his mid-30s. He had a miraculous birth. He was raised by a father that wasn't his.
Surrogate father?
Yeah, surrogate father.
Well, yeah, he's got a serious messiah complex.
I mean, yeah, and he's here to save the world.
But most superheroes have that.
Right. But I think Superman being...
The first,
and is also, he's pretty much the strongest, that he kind of has to be...
I do want to kind of talk about the character a little bit, though. Since he's the first superhero, he wasn't that well designed. He doesn't have many flaws. Any, really.
Well, there's a few flaws that they will bring up. There's always kryptonite.
No, that's not a flaw. That's a weakness.
Okay, that's a weakness.
So
another flaw is that he has a high morality. So
that's not really a flaw, though. That's a character trait. How is that at all a crack in his...
Well, if you look at, say, Dark Knight Returns, he becomes a tool of a system because he feels like he has to follow the law. See what I'm saying here?
Oh, you're referencing the comic book.
He becomes a Boy Scout.
The Batman movie.
I know that in this movie they don't really bring this up, but Superman in general has
that wasn't a
flaw.
theme that was examined here. I mean, that was...
Right, but again, it's the origin story. I feel like you almost have to have another movie to bring up more flaws. Say, look at Batman. His giant flaw that he will not kill people, that he refuses to do that.
Superman's been around for decades.
Right, but I'm talking about this movie. This is a reboot of the character.
That's fine, you're right. I'm just bored by him. He's nothing at all is compelling. When he ever gets in a crisis, all he really has to do is grit his teeth and put on his trying face. Did you see the trying face?
Oh, that happened once.
That was embarrassing.
That happened once. The only reason you noticed
of course it happened once. It was in the climax.
It
It always
advertised.
Yeah, no. I mean, I would have made fun of it
Core.
when it happened anyways.
Okay.
Always.
But speaking of something to make fun of, there is a certain part, since Zack Snyder directed a certain movie that had the same line.
Oh, I noticed that. Oh.
Jor-El, who is played by... who plays Jor-El?
It's Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe just yells, "This is madness!"
No, this is a Zack Snyder movie! It just kicks him into the abyss. Movie over, please.
And I also want to bring something up. You were complaining about the lens flares.
Oh, so many.
But I thought a lot of them, they didn't...
Were blinding?
Yeah, but it was because there was a sun shining.
Yeah, and he put the sun in the frame, didn't he?
Alright.
What do you think, Molly? Do you think it was too much?
Certainly in the first 5 minutes when you pointed them out, it was lens flare after lens flare after lens flare.
Well, I shouldn't have to point them out. They were blinding you.
Well, was
I
it any
noticed
worse
them.
than Star Trek, though?
It doesn't make it good.
Really? Because Star Trek, there were times where they were having dialogue, and there's a giant lens flare over their face.
You're right. Star Trek abused that, and so did Man of Steel. I mean, it wasn't worse than Star Trek, but it certainly wasn't great. I lost count at like 15 lens flares. That was like the first half hour. Yeah, I was counting. I've seen this movie before.
Well, you were also like making the drum beats every single time.
Because Hans Zimmer can't get enough of that drums. He's got a
he
fever.
loves them. At least there wasn't like an Inception burp or fart.
And it wasn't as bad as Dark Knight Rises. I felt. That was like some serious tribal voodoo happening with the drums. It was weird. And this one, a little bit heavy. The theme was good. I like the theme.
I like it. It's very simple. It's more atmospheric.
A lot like Batman's theme.
Yeah.
But Batman's theme is just 2 notes.
It's very distinctive that when you hear it, you're like, you immediately know what it is, but you can't necessarily
I like
come
it.
to
It's
it.
building to a crescendo. It's kind of cool. It gets you going. I mean,
I know,
if you like Superman.
I know some people have been complaining about Hans Zimmer's scores that they don't have like a good theme to them.
Yeah,
but
they're all kind of vanilla.
But I think that there's two sides to a score. You can have the ones that have a very distinctive theme, say like Cloud Atlas or Harry Potter or the original Superman, something you can hum to, you immediately know. Mm-hmm. But then you have ones that are more atmospheric.
They complement the action on screen, and you can't listen to them. You can't take them apart from the movie and listen to them to appreciate them in their own right because they don't work.
You might be, but I'm just saying it's more atmospheric. So. A lot of the score is very chaotic, and it's reflective of what's happening on screen. So it's not necessarily. It's really hard to pick out.
If by chaotic you mean a hell of a lot of percussion.
Oh, yeah,
a little ridiculous, and they were just cut off.
Molly, you're a little quiet over there, and you lean back from the mic, which I told you not to.
Okay,
I don't think she can hear us. She just saw Man of Steel.
Molly, can you do us the honor of telling us maybe a little bit of what the main story is, without any
Well, for those
spoilers.
of you who are familiar with the Superman legend, it sticks pretty true to form. What would you call them? The people who live on Krypton.
Kryptonians.
Kryptonians. Their world is dying, and so Jor-El and... Is it Lara or Laura?
I didn't really catch that.
Lara.
Sounded like Laura, which is an Earth person name.
Jordan, is it Lara? Yes. See? Thank you, Jordan. Thank you,
Okay,
Jordan.
so Jor-El and Lara send their miraculously born son, natural-born son, which is the first time in centuries. They send him to Earth, where he is taken in by the Kent family. He's named Clark Kent.
We all know the story.
Yeah, I know. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. He really is kind of a nomad until his 30s, and the movie kind of bounces around with that, where he then he'll go ahead and find his origin. He'll discover his origin, and then he becomes the rise of Superman. Something that happens in the movie is back when they're at Krypton, before or just during Superman's birth, there is a conflict between Jor-El and Zod. Zod is the general. General.
It's Jor-El.
What am I
It's
saying?
a hyphen. Jor-El?
Jor-El. Okay, Jor-El.
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 Yes.
Okay, so there's a conflict between General Zod and Jor-El.
It doesn't really matter, It doesn't really matter. All that matters is that Zod gets pissed off and vows vengeance.
It's very important.
It is important to the plot.
Zod has a motivation to bring back Krypton.
It's more or less the same thing that happened in the 1978 Superman. And then Zod comes back in the sequel, Superman 2. And more or less the same plot. It's a good plot for an origin story, it really is, because they are the same as him.
I've heard this argument with a few other reviews online, and they say that they're complaining that it's too samey. Too samey.
No.
But I feel like since that is part of the origin, that's also story elements about General Zod. You can't really change it up that much. You know what I mean?
It's a good way to tell his origin story. To have him confront what remains of his planet,
and not to mention choose the humans over
Kryptonians.
I mean, that's
Kryptonians.
Yeah.
But I think that defines his character very well.
I don't see why his parents couldn't have followed him to Earth. They say that like, oh, we have the same problems Krypton did. Like, you don't want to.
There are several plot holes.
That's why it's always been one, even since the comic.
No,
why don't
but
they
there's
go with him?
there's also one that they brought it up. It was asked. They said that they were a product of Krypton's downfall.
Well,
so they had to.
They seem pretty okay.
It was a noble death in a way.
Well, with the sacrifice of Jor-El and Lara, they're becoming martyrs to create a Messiah.
Yeah, because their kid's gonna grow up without him and have all these conflicts about who he is, and if they're around to show him.
Yeah, but clearly he was getting some hot tail every time he was moving from place to place. Did you not notice that?
I guess that compensates for not having parents.
Every single woman in this movie is fucking Henry Cavill.
He's a stud.
Everyone's just... And there's even at a certain point where someone's like, something wrong? And they go like...
There's fireworks outside.
Okay, I thought that was gunshots.
It's a rough neighborhood, kids.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where's Superman now? Just speaking of Superman, what did you guys think of Henry Cavill as Superman? I liked how he seemed to be sort of like an alien. They kept like bringing that up. So he is very quiet. He doesn't know how to maybe act around people. He is an outcast, and I like that a lot. What are your opinions?
I don't care. I can't care about him. He's boring. You know? I mean, yeah, he's very well cast. He looks just like Superman. Superman's cool and all. And when he's got his dad talking to him, like, give them something to strive for. What the fuck does that mean? Like, am I supposed to strive for being able to punch people that hard or having heat vision? What does Superman do for us? He hits the things we need to be hit. You know? He doesn't build anything.
What does Batman do? What does Batman do?
Batman's like... Batman fights a hell of a lot of crime.
He punches them?
Yeah, he punches them, you're right. But he doesn't make a big deal about, like, his destiny and how he's supposed to be...
That's because Batman is
leader of
supposed to be in the dark, and Superman is clearly the one that fights
which makes Batman infinitely more interesting.
Okay, but we're talking about Superman here.
Yeah, I know we are. I'm comparing him to a better superhero.
Let's just talk about the elephant in the room here. You came into this movie going to hate it.
That's true. I liked a lot of elements
and you
about
waited
it.
for a single hair-triggered pull to just hate it.
I liked a lot of things about this movie. I liked the scene where he learned how to fly. I liked the throwback to how in the very first issue, he didn't fly. He leaped. So how does he start to learn how to fly is by leaping. Kind of like the Hulk does, right? That was kind of neat. I like the transitions that Snyder uses. When there's going to be like a big explosion or something happen, he'll cut away to like a dog pawing at a door, and it makes a loud noise, kind of like you expected the explosion to have. It was very clever, and I was surprised. I thought maybe like Christopher Nolan showed him how to do that or something, because Zach Snyder is, in my opinion, a talentless hack who has an eye for something that looks cool. Like he's very good at visual flair. Krypton looked incredible.
Right.
Apart from all the Dr. Seuss monsters that were flying around. That was stupid.
Except that made it alien. I mean...
Okay, yeah, but everything looked like it was... Okay, so the big dragon thing looked like it was out of Avatar. And when they froze Zod, it looked like it was out of Star Wars. It was carbonite.
No, they did not say that was carbonite.
I know it wasn't carbonite, but it looked exactly like when Han Solo got frozen in carbonite. There are a lot of things that they ripped out of other things. Prometheus. I saw a lot of Prometheus in this movie. And
yeah, but there's no way that they ripped off Prometheus.
Why not?
Because Prometheus came out last year. Are you telling me that
You're right. But it doesn't make it...
being made at the same time.
You're right, okay, they didn't rip it off, like, directly, but it still doesn't make it original fresh. But on the other hand, I liked it. I thought it looked a lot better than the 1978 movie, which looks really cheesy today. It looked organic. And you see, like, the Kryptonians, what they wear, it's really... brown and earth tones, drab looking. And I thought to myself, they're a pretty advanced people, why would they wear those colors? Well, because they're dying. And I thought, well, that's clever. Did you get that vibe? I don't know.
Yeah, I also got that even though they're, humanoids, that they definitely look like aliens. I think they had to make them look drastically different than what, humans are. Mm-hmm. Especially with, like, the technology. They have the, what are those things you put your hands in and it makes a form. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
That's what, like, all their technology was. Okay, there's a certain part where Jor-El is explaining Krypton's history to Kal-El.
Yes.
Superman.
Yeah, did you like that? It was animation.
No, I thought it was like a giant, like, panorama painting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Going around. I was like, how do you get that, in order? Like, I know it's, like, part of his consciousness.
How did he get to capture his consciousness in a
Well,
machine?
okay, that's advanced technology and all that.
Fine.
But I just thought this, like, why was he explaining it in a panorama? That's all I was wondering. Like, it looked like, okay, the restaurant O'Charlie's, where they have the painting of Lafayette's, and you look around, there's, like, bits and pieces.
If you watch a well-written movie, like Reservoir Dogs or something, I don't know why I pulled that out of my ass, but there's a story told, and they do it without having to resort to a flashback or what you just said or animation.
But you know what? We're talking about flashbacks. I liked the non-linear flashbacks that were going on. That you would see him remember things that were reminding him. So it was little tidbits teaching you about his past when he was a child.
Yep.
I mean, especially when there's a certain part where someone dies,
Who dies? Go ahead, say it. We know what happens.
I mean,
Kevin Costner dies.
John Clark dies.
So that's worth the price of admission right there, right? I can't stand Kevin Costner. He is so flat. Did you notice that? His inflection never changed. It's been that way since Dances with Wolves. He's
really?
terrible.
That was 20 years ago.
Yeah, he was
Actually,
horrible
it's over
then.
20 years. Didn't he win an Oscar for that?
For Dances with Wolves? Did he?
Might have.
That is an atrocity because he is a terrible actor.
What do you guys think of Lois Lane? Or what's her name?
I like Amy Adams. I don't know if she's Lois Lane, but who cares, right? I mean, Lois Lane's not that interesting. Then again, no one in this movie is, are they?
Okay, so the hater over there had his tidbit. I liked Lois Lane in this, other than there was a part where I was kind of like, okay, she seems to just be in every conflict.
Damsel? No.
She is a bit of a damsel in distress as well.
She's got no powers.
Okay, there's a part where she's like, I don't know how this works. It's supposed to go in. And I leaned over to Jordan because someone else fixed it. I'm like, I need an engineer to fix that. And all he did was
smack it really hard.
All he did was turn it.
We got Star Trek engineers here. Just kick it really hard. It works.
Okay, did you like the part where they said, like, we fixed a hypercore? They just pushed it into something?
Yeah.
I love movie technology. You just have to push shit together. If only that's really how it works.
Yeah.
Okay, Jordan, since you are a guest, just give us a little bit why you liked it. And speak up because you're behind the mic.
Okay, I just found it entertaining. I go for the pure entertainment value, and I don't really go after all the critical aspects of it.
How'd you feel about the running time? Was it too long? I'm leading you with that question. Yes. Say yes.
I don't know. I was entertained. I didn't really feel it was too long. I'm going back to the flashbacks. I thought the beginning, how it was non-linear flashbacks, was brilliant. Just because usually, if they would have started off with all those in the beginning, you would have been bored out of your mind. But because they did current time and then they reversed back to the tidbit that was interesting, then they came back, I felt it kept you engaged more.
Yeah,
and if you want to see the younger parts, just go watch 9 seasons of Smallville. Go ahead.
It's kind of like a Family Guy joke, though. He's at his dad's grave, and Lois Lane, well, what happened? Well, I remember this one time, and then it goes to a flashback.
Yeah, but okay, a Family Guy joke would have nothing to do.
You're right.
Family Guy jokes are non sequiturs. This actually had to deal with the story and was giving us.
It's true, but
it
was like I feel a flashback coming on.
Okay, Molly, you've been quiet.
What do you want to hear?
I don't know your opinion of the movie. That's why we're recording right now.
I've given my opinion in a nutshell.
How'd you like Michael Shannon?
I was waiting for more intensity, and I didn't get it.
Me too. And he's capable of it.
Really?
He is.
I mean, I thought at least as a general, to come across as being, off the wall crazy would have been.
Well, yeah, but that was part of his character. Remember, Jor-El's like, remember what a great man you used to be? And he's like...
Yeah. I thought his goatee looked stupid.
No.
I thought it looked stupid.
Well, there was a hard transition between the colors of the goatee.
Yes, I thought that was like the only way they made him look older was the fake scar and the goatee.
But then again, I think most goatees look stupid.
Oh, Michael Shannon's face is a train wreck. I'm shocked they cast him in this. Remember all the scarring he's got going on?
Yeah, did you also...
But I mean, do you really want a pretty villain?
No, but he's such an offbeat, off-key actor. I'm shocked he's in this movie, is the thing.
Oh.
It's like having Maggie Gyllenhaal in Dark Knight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she makes a lot of obscure movies. And to
The only
see
thing
her
I
in a
can think of
mainstream
is Donnie
blockbuster
Darko,
is shocking.
and she's in something else. I can't remember. Oh, she's in...
She's in a lot of things.
But I can't remember.
I like how General Zod's, his minions had like a different accent.
Yeah, they were from different parts of Krypton.
Was there...
No one's Russian.
Oh, I thought he was German. There's the one that was like the scientist, and like he had like a German accent.
Huh.
And I was like, how do they have accents? How do they speak English?
I like how they're Kryptonian. It's really neat because they're exactly the same as he is. That scene where he's fighting, what is her name?
Sahora or something.
That's with an F. It doesn't matter. But she's the girl Smurf. And she's lecturing him about how she has the edge because she's got no morality. And that gives her an evolutionary advantage. And it's like, that's not really how evolution works.
That would be becoming
morality's
robot.
given us an advantage to. I mean, we evolved a moral compass, right? It was just kind of.
Yeah, but
cheesy.
you could. But it showed that her logic was flawed.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
and
she's a villain. Her logic's supposed to be
Zod,
flawed.
Zod thinks
If
he's
the
doing
villain
the right
was making
thing.
everything sense, you would be like, wait a minute, why am I rooting for Superman? Go bad guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I like Zod's motivation for what he was doing.
Okay. And final thoughts, especially since there are tons of fireworks going off in the background.
Okay, I mean,
It's a
it'll
lot
be
of
over
fireworks.
soon as the finale.
Actually, there is one final thought though. I know we've talked about Lois Lane being dragged along everywhere, but the greatest part was where she ended up on the plane. I really want to know why she needed to be on the plane.
Well, I don't want to spoil it, but there was a reason. Because she knew how to do something. Except all it was
She
was
knew
to put
which way to push this one thing.
But she didn't even know how to do that.
She couldn't explain it to the colonel. Or
No,
somebody else?
it's so hard. They also had to put her in flight gear as well.
Flight suit.
No. She was not in flight gear. She was in a pantsuit and heels. She was in 5-inch heels.
No,
She was in
no,
heels.
that's
She was
impressive.
so in heels.
She
because
knew
I
she
censored
When
one.
she leaned over the colonel's shoulder, she was definitely in a jumpsuit.
She was in a jumpsuit. She was in a pantsuit and heels earlier.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
whatever. It
See who
melds
wasn't paying
together.
attention.
It melds together, okay? It melds
Okay.
together.
Okay, well, we're getting towards the end, so I don't know. Final thoughts?
I regret nothing. Nothing I've said.
Were you mad that he didn't say Neil before Zod?
I was a little bit perturbed. I expected that. I think
You've
Michael
been
Shannon
like
could do
you've
it.
said that in like 2 or 3 reviews already.
The craziest he gets is that scene from the trailer. I'll find him! And he sounds like the Wicked Witch of the West.
Did you notice like whenever he gets crazy, his eyes start to like space out somehow?
Yeah.
I'm always,
Oh
like,
no,
freaked
that
out.
last scene where they're fighting and it looks like a western and it was kind of cool. And then it emulates the Matrix Revolutions. Do you remember that fight scene at the very end of the Matrix? I don't know. Were you still awake
Yes.
for the Matrix? The exact same things happen. Half of Metropolis is leveled. They swing each other around in the air. They hit each other going really fast, and it does that shockwave.
Those poor people of Metropolis. I mean, really, like millions of people died that day.
Yeah. No, they're all evacuated, right? All those buildings were evacuated.